Hi, I'm Amy. This is House of Nash Eats, and today we're making sloppy joes. All right, so to get started with our sloppy joes, we're going to chop up half of an onion, a bell pepper, or half a bell pepper if you've got big ones. Mine's kind of small, so I'm going to do the whole thing, and a couple cloves of garlic. So we'll start with our onion. We're just going to cut into this and do a dice, and you could use a chopper or a food processor if you wanted to. I just find it's easiest to do this by hand. Okay, and we're just going to chop that up. And you just want to go for pretty uniform pieces of onion so it all cooks evenly. Okay, and we'll transfer that to a bowl, and then we'll work on our bell pepper. Now you could use a green bell pepper, which is what I thought I had, but when I looked in my fridge, apparently all I had was red. So we're using red bell peppers today. Orange, yellow, green, it doesn't really matter, just whatever flavor you like for your bell pepper will work. And we're going to dice this up pretty small. Also, this is a great way of getting some extra veggies in your food, especially for kids. Sloppy joes tend to be a favorite with children. I know that it's really popular with my family, and when I was a kid, I loved having sloppy joes. So we're always looking for ways to sneak in some extra vegetables. We're gonna put those in a bowl and set them off to the side as well. Okay, then I've got 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to mince those up. And then we'll be ready to start cooking our sloppy joes. So sloppy joes were actually invented in Iowa, in Sioux City, Iowa, by a cafe cook named Joe. Apparently, this is how the story goes. And there's a popular sandwich in Iowa called a loose meat sandwich, which is basically just ground beef and onions on a bun. And this cook named Joe added some tomato sauce and some seasonings in the 1930s, and that's where we get sloppy joes. So we'll set all of this to the side and we'll start cooking our meat. All right, so I've got a large skillet and it's heating over medium-high heat, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil to the pan. And we're going to let that heat up for a second. And then we're going to add about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds, you can kind of, whatever you have, to our hot pan. And then we want to break this up into chunks, and then we're just going to leave it alone and let it sear for a minute or two. Okay, we're going to let this sear for just a minute or two till it browns on the bottom side, and then we'll start churning the meat around and browning it until it's almost brown, just a little bit of pink is left. Okay, and so I'm using a fairly lean ground beef. I use 85/15 or higher when I'm making sloppy joes. And when I get to this point where the meat is mostly brown, there's maybe still a little bit of pink left, then I'm going to go ahead and add my onion and my chopped bell pepper, whatever color you've got, and garlic. And we're just going to cook those together for about 5 minutes until the vegetables soften. Okay, and you can also go ahead and season your meat and vegetables with salt and pepper while it's browning and the vegetables are softening. Okay, so now our vegetables have softened and the meat is brown, and so we're going to add all of the rest of the ingredients. And the list might look a little long, but they're all pantry staples that you probably have in your pantry already. So we're going to start out with a can of tomato sauce, and this is just an 8-ounce can. I'll leave a link to the printable recipe below so you can just print it out and follow along. And then I've got some beef broth. This is just half a cup of beef broth, which I just made using beef bouillon and some water. You could just use water if that's what you have and you don't have any beef broth on hand, or you could use chicken broth too. And then I've got 1/3 cup of ketchup and a tablespoon of tomato paste. And that's going to help thicken the sauce and give it a really rich, deep tomato flavor. Then we're going to add some apple cider vinegar, some Worcestershire sauce, I can never say it, and we've got some yellow mustard, and a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. That's going to balance out the acid of the tomato sauce and the vinegar in this. And then we've got our spices. So we've got some chili powder, some smoked paprika. You can use regular paprika, but I love the smoky flavor that smoked paprika gives. Then we've got just a little bit, 1/4 of a teaspoon each of ground cumin and crushed red pepper flakes for just the right amount of heat without making this spicy. Okay, we're going to stir all of this together, and then we're going to reduce the heat a little bit and let the sauce simmer for about 10 minutes until it's thickened slightly and our sloppy joes are ready to serve. My mom would make sloppy joes for us when I was a kid, but she used a can of manwich sauce, which I think you can still get at the store. But honestly, the flavor is so much better when you make it with spices and real ingredients from your pantry. And it doesn't take any more time, and I've already got it all on hand. So it just makes sense to me to make sloppy joes from scratch at home. Okay, so our sloppy joe meat has simmered for about 10 minutes and it's thickened up nicely, but it's still nice and sloppy. So I'm going to now let this cool down for just a little bit, and then I'll put it on some toasted buns and then we can eat. Okay, so I've got my buns and I just buttered and toasted these on a griddle first. That not only does it taste delicious, but it also helps the sloppy joe meat from soaking in quite as quickly, which sloppy joes can get pretty sloppy. So we're going to take a scoop of our meat and just pile it on our bun. And you can top these with pickles or cheese if you want to, or just eat it plain, just like this. And that's it, our sloppy joe is ready. Okay, I'm gonna try to take a taste without getting it everywhere, but I mean, they're sloppy joes, so here we go. You guys, these are so good. The meat is so savory with great spices. It's just really comforting and warm. This is like total classic American comfort food. Love sloppy joe sandwiches. I hope you guys love these just as much as we do. I hope you guys love these sloppy joes. They make such a great weeknight meal that are just super satisfying that the whole family will enjoy. If you like this recipe, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more great recipes just like it.